Hello dear tea friends from around the world. Welcome to a new tea class with me, Stéphane Erler. I'm the founder of the Tea Masters blog and the tea-masters.com tea boutique. And today we are starting a new new cycle of classes with our sampler of Dong Ding Oolong. I want to teach you everything there is to know about the taste of Dong Ding, one of the most important, one of the most traditional classic oolong from Taiwan. And we are going to find out about it by comparing a spring version, charcoal roasted from Yonglong, one of the original villages from the Dongding area, and we're going to compare it with another Dongding Oolong from Yonglong also, from the same roaster but not from the same garden. And this one is from the fall, and this one is only available in the sampler in my boutique under samplers. It is the seasons of Dong Ding Oolong, because what is fascinating with these Dong Ding Oolongs is that they taste a little bit different from one season to another. So today we are going to start to explore the taste of fall, of spring and fall. And before we do that, I realize I don't have my gaiwan up, so let me get up. We'll even take a competition set. That's faster for me. So we take this, and it's a good choice because it's the competition of Dongding that made this set so important and so famous. So I think it's fitting that for a class about Dongding we would use the porcelain set from the competition. It's not only used for the Dongding competition, but Dongding is the largest tea competition in the world. So we are going to use this set to brew these two teas. Using porcelain is always the most neutral way if you want to study a tea. So I really recommend it when you want to better understand a tea or when you want to try tea for the first time. It's best to brew it in porcelain. It will give you the most neutral taste. And if you want to improve on the experience, later on you can use Ishin teapot or a gaiwan. But this kind of competition set is the most professional tool we can find. So we'll wait a little bit that we are warm here. Now, one important thing about Dong Ding Oolong in general is the name and what is behind this name. Now, in terms of cultivar, it is our Qingxing Oolong, the same cultivar as we find in the high mountains of Taiwan nowadays. This is the most traditional cultivar, and it is also the cultivar you find for Dong Ding Oolong. This cultivar we saw is related to Aija Oolong, so it is its DNA is comes from Aija Oolong, which is a cultivar that comes from Fujian, Hui. Actually, it's not exactly in Hui, it's close to Hui, but in Fujian. So like many, lot of culture in Taiwan, this tea is no exception. It also comes from Fujian, like the language used in Taiwan, and a lot of Taiwanese are descendants from Fujian. They came in the mid of the 19th century for a big chunk of them, and that's also when tea started to flourish in Taiwan. It started in the north of Taiwan, and we can trace the shift towards Dongding to the year 1976, because 1976 is the first year that the Dongding competition took place a cooperation between the Taiwan Research and Extension Station, Tea Research Institute, headed by Dr. Wu Zhendo at the time, and a cooperation with the Lugu Tea Farmers Association, Lugu being the larger village next to Dongding, and so they created the Dongding Tea Competition in 1976. Before that, most of the tea industry was more located in the north, around Taipei, Taoyuan, Pinglin, Wenshan for Baozhong. But progressively, this the tea, the center of the industry moved towards the south, to the center of Taiwan, in Nantou County. Nantou County is the only county that has no connection to the sea in Taiwan. So this is really a county that is very much inland, and that's where we find Mingjian, Songboling in the lower elevation, and a bit higher we find Dongding, which means the peak of ice peak. Actually, Dongding is at an elevation of only 700-800 meters high, so it actually doesn't qualify as a high mountain. But it was in 1976 one of the highest elevation where tea was produced in Taiwan. It is located close to a lake or a pond, the Jilin Pond, which provides not just a lot of water for the farms around it, but also a cooler place, because when in the afternoon wind blows on the surface of the lake, it brings not only coolness but also humidity, moisture, and these are ideal conditions for tea. Tea loves moisture, and especially after a morning sun, it's the plants need some moisture and some fog in the afternoon to cool down. So this pond, Jilin Pond, is very important for the taste and the excellent taste of Dongding. Now, Dongding, thanks to this competition, became really very, very famous, to the point that it created its own style of tea, the Dongding style, and which is always a good thing, but it has some drawbacks, that it became such a thing that it was imitated in other regions. And in order to distinguish what is Dongding tea and Dongding style tea, actually we coined another term called Hong Shui Oolong. This is really the technical name for the process of the Dongding style. So Hong Shui Oolong is a traditional process through which the leaves go in Dongding, but they can also go through this process in other regions. So Hong Shui Oolong is a more neutral way of describing the process of the Dongding style. Because what can be confusing, you can have a lot of Dongding style teas, but not from Dongding. This is especially now the case with this Dongding competition, where the top participants are not from the Dongding region, but actually they are from Shaninshi or Alishan, and the winners of the Dongding competition usually actually come from high mountains in Taiwan, but not from Dongding. So if we want to be more precise and really understand what is the real taste of Dongding, it should not only be made according to this traditional style of Dongding, so the Hong Shui Oolong style, but it should also come from the Dongding area, So this is the case with both these teas, the spring and the fall. Okay, our tea vessel is warmed up. We can now start to brew. I'm using 3 grams in both cases, like in the competition. The competition, actually, the brew will last for 6 minutes, but we'll do probably a bit shorter. So we can use a stronger way to pour the water in order to help the leaves to open up. Okay. Now, what is interesting is that this tea competition from Dong Ding started in '76 in the spring, and a few years later, in the '80s, they also started to make this competition in the winter season, not just in the spring season. Winter and spring are kind of twin seasons in the Taiwanese calendar. In both cases, we have lower temperatures. First in spring because it just starts to be warm, and in winter because that's when the temperatures drop and days are also shorter. In spring, the days are starting to be a bit longer, but they are not yet as long as in summer or in fall. So what is interesting, we don't have this competition in the summer or in the fall, but we have it in the spring and in the winter. Now, remember, the calendar is a bit different in Chinese. In the Chinese calendar, the spring here would be a harvest that happens in April, and the winter, these are harvests that happen end of October, beginning of November. So we are not yet completely in the real winter when the nature is completely at a standstill and nothing is growing. Now, so the fact that these competitions happen only in winter and in spring means that the quality that people expect are somehow similar. Actually, the prices are also somehow similar in spring and in winter. There are some slight differences in taste, of course, and in yields, but still there are more similarities between spring and winter than between the other seasons. We will see in another class about the summer season, what it provides in terms of other aromas that happen. And now we are going to compare it with the fall season. Now, this fall season, this tea is not available in my general selection. You can only find it in the sampler. Now, the reason I wanted to put it a little bit apart and to study it today is because with this fall season Dongding, we have a very good example of an imitation trying to take advantage of the roasting on one hand and also the oxidation level on the other hand. Now, here we have to go back to what it means, this Dongding style, this Hongshui Oolong process. Hongshui Oolong process means it will be the leaves are processed as an oolong, so partially oxidized, but compared to a high mountain oolong, this oxidation level will be a little bit higher, and the big difference with high mountain oolong is this roast that is going to happen at the end. The last process is the roast, and for this Hongshui oolong, there will be a medium kind of roast. For the spring here, the roast is a little bit lower, and for the fall, we will see it's still medium, and I would say it's a bit lower in both cases compared to the Dong Ding competition that is happening in Lugu. You see, oh, it starts to open up here. We can empty our brew. So spring and fall. Fall is a moment in the seasons of Dongding where you have a large quantity that is produced because the fall season, summer and fall have a lot of water, so nature is producing a lot of leaves, and it is quite warm, warmer than in winter or in spring, and therefore the oxidation level is also quite high naturally, and we can see this already in the brew of these two teas. The brew from fall is already much darker than in spring. Spring is like a clean, clear golden color, and here we are more orange, light brown for the fall. So the fact that Hongshui oolong, so the Dongding style oolong, is also roasted is the reason why it is also more possible to imitate or copy, if you want, the spring or winter in the fall season, thanks to this roasting. Now let's compare the spring and the fall. The fall is very, very powerful in terms of color and smell. Sorry. The spring, very, very light color, very natural sweetness. This one is charcoal roasted. Feels very, very smooth, fruity, and has a little bit sweet sour note that is a little bit plum. It's what we call the Dongding taste. So this is really the Dongding taste that you can expect in the spring. Very clean, very sweet, very light, very, very fine. It is not as fresh and green like a high mountain oolong, but it has really the aroma of the Dongding terroir. Now, we are still in the Dongding terroir, but in the fall, what is the impact? The aromas are even more powerful, fruitier, more exotic fruit. It has also a nice sweetness, but the sourness, there is more sour note, and at the end a slightly bitter note that makes this fall more yeah, full-bodied than the spring. So if you have now these two teas side by side, you can really not make a mistake. What is spring? What is fall? Well, it's very obvious. The fall power and this sourness and all this strong taste is very apparent already in the color. For the spring, it has much lighter, more nuanced, more delicate taste and aroma, and this is already the case simply with porcelain. Now imagine if you use a teapot, you will get even more finesse with the spring, but with the full one you might also get something more rounded, maybe less bitterness in the end. So these two teas are very well made, and the impact of the season is really very easy to understand. The fall, thanks to the higher temperature, has a higher oxidation level, and we can see actually the leaves already when they were dry we did not see much of a difference. Now when we look at them open, it's just slightly greener in terms of open leaves in the spring compared to the fall, but it's not such a big difference. The leaves are a bit larger. We find a bit fewer buds in the fall. Thanks to the high temperature, the leaves grow at a faster pace. In spring, they grow a bit more slowly, so we have some smaller buds also. But in terms of process, we don't see such a big difference. The big difference is really in the brew, a very light brew in the spring and a much darker, dark orange, almost brown brew for the fall. And this is important to be able to distinguish between the two, because as I said, the spring and winter are in one quality level and one price level, and the fall actually is at a lower price level and quality level. It's still very enjoyable, just it does not have so much finesse, and therefore it is also priced usually better than spring. Sometimes it will be passed either as spring or winter if the vendor is not very knowledgeable or wants to believe that he really got a good deal. But if you have made this comparison and took this class, then you will understand the difference between spring and fall. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. I hope that you found this interesting, and we'll continue to introduce the real taste of Dong Ding in the coming weeks. We still have the summer and the winter samples to study and to compare. And also we will compare the competition Dong Ding. So stay tuned and see you again. Bye bye.